Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Mal and I am the owner and maker of Made by Manny and Mal. In today's video, we are doing a photo tumbler. I've gotten a ton of requests to show how I put photos onto tumblers without just putting the big square photo onto the cup. So I'm going to show you what I do for those designs, or at least one option for you, but I'm putting a kind of classic vintage Christmas twist onto it. So I hope that you enjoy it and I hope that it is helpful for you. If you do like the video, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up and make sure you are subscribed to our channel so you don't miss any new videos, and it really helps us out. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate you watching. I hope that you enjoy, and I think that's it. Let's go. We're going to be using the 25-ounce oddball tumbler from Craft Haven. I do have a discount code in the description for Craft Haven, but I'm going to prep my cup, get it all ready, and then we're going to go right into glitter. So I'm using Christmas lights from Glitter Dipped Sips Glitter, and I base painted my cup just a solid gold metallic from Rustoleum. I'm using the epoxy method to apply my glitter, and oh my gosh, my epoxy was sitting for way too long, so it was so hard to spread out. I struggled for a very long time trying to get this to smooth onto my cup, but I didn't want to waste the epoxy, so I just made it work. Once I had the epoxy on my cup, I went right in with this glitter. This is, oh my gosh, the perfect Christmas glitter. It really does look like Christmas lights. It's got little snowflakes in it, all of the colors. Look at that, it's so pretty. So once I had that on there, I went in with Whisper, which is a fine kind of like opal-y iridescent glitter from PDB. And I just filled in any of the gaps. I went over the entire cup with this because Christmas lights is a chunky. So I went in with a fine afterwards to make sure that we had extremely full coverage. Once I had all of my glitter on, I rolled my cup up in parchment paper to make sure that this was laying as flat as possible. With chunky glitters, I highly recommend doing this because it will save you a lot of time and headache later on, because once you put epoxy on those sharp edges that are sticking up, they're so hard to get smooth again. So just take that extra step. It is worth it. So once that first glitter epoxy layer was cured, about 3 hours, I went in with a normal coat of epoxy. I took 30 milliliters of a little extra ink, spread it all over my cup, and in the process of doing this, I was making sure that my glitter was laying flat. I let that coat cure about 4 hours and then went right in with a second coat of about 20 milliliters. You really want to make sure that you have smooth, even coverage because we're going to be doing a peekaboo later on. We're also going to be using a water slide in addition to our peekaboo. So what I like to do when I'm doing things like this, I will do my 2 normal coats of epoxy and then I'll go in and do all of my sanding. So here I'm doing the sanding with a rough sanding block. You can see all of that sanding dust on there. We had a lot to sand. And then I'm going to go in with a finer grit. This is 180. And I'm going to go over the entire cup again to kind of buff out those rough sanding marks. So here's what the cup looks like. It is not perfectly smooth, but it's a whole lot better than it was before. So now I'm going to go right into another coat of epoxy to shine the surface of my cup up again and get it totally smooth so that it's ready for our water slide and our peekaboo. For the water slide, I'm using a photo of my mom and my uncle, her brother, at Christmas time when they were kids. This is one of her favorite pictures and it's just like so festive. I love it so much. So I have a physical copy of the picture, so I just took a picture of it on my phone, cropped it, and then sent it to my computer so I could print it out on clear water slide. Because we're using clear water slide, I want to do a white background on it so you can see it on this background. So I took some high gloss white paint. A glossy background is important. And I'm just going to spray a big burst of this white paint so our water slide will show up. I sealed the water slide with 3 coats of Rustoleum clear gloss spray. I printed it out 2 times just in case I messed up. But I'm going to take one of those and cut it out. I'm going to cut out all of those white borders so we're left with just the photo. I'm going to stick it in my room temperature water, get my surface wet. And this picture is about like a 4x3, maybe a little bit bigger than a 4x3. So it's not super small by any means, but I wanted to do this type of cup specifically because it's hard to put pictures and decals and images like this on a curved surface. So I wanted to show you that you can do it, especially with a water slide. If you are putting pictures on tumblers and you don't like waterslide, you can absolutely use printable vinyl. I just wouldn't recommend using printable vinyl on a curved surface like this because of all of the kind of like ridges and folds and everything. It's really hard to get it to lay flat. But with a waterslide, you have a lot more flexibility. So I just smoothed that onto my cup, pulled the backing out, and now I'm taking this silicone brush and brushing out all of the water bubbles and any bumps or anything that we have. Once I had it on there, I took a paper towel and some acetone, and I'm going to clean up all of that excess white paint that's around our image, because when we peekaboo, we're going to kind of distress the paint so we can see the image, and I want the glitter to show through, not this white paint. So I'm just removing all of the white paint except for a very thin white border around it, so we can show the glitter when we peekaboo. Now, if you wanted to avoid the whole peekaboo altogether, you could totally leave your cup like this. The little white border makes the photo look kind of more intentional and not just like you slapped a square photo on your tumbler. But I wanted to give you guys another idea for what you could do to make your photo tumblers a little more interesting. So once that coat of epoxy cured, I was ready to get started on my peekaboo. So I found these little string lights, like Christmas lights, on Etsy. And I also found some like kind of classic Christmas toys. I had to scour the internet to find all of these Christmas toys. Who would have thought, right? But I found them and I cut them out on stencil vinyl like I always do. I love using stencil vinyl. If you don't like stencil vinyl, you can absolutely use removable, whatever works for you. I just wouldn't recommend doing permanent vinyl for a peekaboo, especially with all of these small pieces. You will be not happy if you use permanent vinyl for something like this. So I'm just taking these toys and I'm going to place these down on my cup first because I want to make sure that I have enough room to put them down. And then once I've got the toys on, I'm going to move into the Christmas lights and I'm just going to kind of string them throughout the entire cup design. And as I go, I'm going to kind of trim these strands of lights so that they will fit on the shape and kind of style and flow of the design we're going for. So you'll see that I just kind of trim them and then I'll place it on my cup, and then even after it's on the cup, I'll trim it even while it's on the transfer tape, just trim right through it, and then I'll move on and I can kind of connect the lights in certain places and have the strands end. And I'm really just kind of building my own strand of lights on my cup from this existing strand of light. So I'm going around the toys and around the photo to tie everything together and give it a nice flow between, the entire design or within the whole design. So I'm going to continue just going around the cup, turning these around, trimming them down. If I have any rough ends, like from where I abruptly stopped the strand of lights, I will go through at the very end and add just the bulb so that we don't have any just like random loose ends on our lights, if that makes sense. I don't want any harsh like stoppage of our strand. So I went through and I tried to add bulbs to any of these corners. So like right here where I met these two pieces up, I'll put a bulb there so that it looks like one long cohesive strand. Alright, so once everything is placed, I'm going to take this outside and spray paint it white. I used flat white from Rustoleum and I did 2 thin coats. And when I was painting, I tried to avoid the main picture as much as possible. We did get some overspray there, but we're going to kind of clean that up at the very end. So I'm using my favorite tweezers ever. These are like a sharp-nosed tweezer. Sharp-nosed? They're sharp. They're perfect for peekaboos. So I'm just going to go through very slowly and carefully peel all of this stencil vinyl up. This is why I would not recommend using permanent vinyl, because we have all of these really tiny pieces that we need to pull up, and using permanent vinyl is just going to make it way harder than it needs to be. So either stencil or removable vinyl, especially for small detailed peekaboos. So yeah, just going to work my way around the cup, peeling off all of the lights. Take your time with this. Once you get going, it's kind of relaxing. So I just turn on a old Hollywood podcast, listen, relax, and peely peely. Okay, so here is what we've got after all of the stencil vinyl has been peeled up, and now we're going to clean off that photo and get it ready for epoxy. I'm going to use mainly acetone to clean this image up, but then I'm going to go in with some rubbing alcohol afterwards to clean up any of the paint residue that the acetone leaves behind. And I'm taking just a regular cotton pad and I'm going in these tiny circular motions to kind of give the illusion that this is maybe like behind snow, or that it's just kind of naturally in this little window in our tumbler. I don't want any rough edges. I don't want any straight lines. I really want this to just kind of be a little bit snowy and cloudy and wintry. So I'm doing those small circular motions with the acetone. And once I've got as much paint really removed as I want to, I'm going to get a new cotton pad and go in with the 99% rubbing alcohol, 91%. And I'm going to just clean up all of those little paint lines that you can see kind of at the bottom there, that the acetone kind of rubbed around. The rubbing alcohol is going to take away all of that paint residue and we're going to have a really nice, clean, crisp image. Once I finish with that, I'm going to go right into another coat of epoxy. I'm going to mix Bright from Peachy Olive Glitters and Halo from PDB Creative Studio into my epoxy to give this outer layer a little bit of a shine. So Halo is a really pretty pigment powder and then Bright is an ultrafine glitter. I like to mix the two together to give a really, really nice, pretty sheen on the whole cup. Then I'm going to add about 20 to 25 milliliters of a little extra ink epoxy, mix that all up, and you'll see it's a really pretty, just very subtle sparkle. So I'm going to apply this to the entire cup except for the photo. So I'm kind of going around the picture, and this is a pretty thin layer, so it's not going to move a whole lot, especially once it's on the turner. I'm just putting a really thin layer everywhere but the photo, and I'm going to let that spin and cure about 6 hours, and then I'll go in with another coat of a little extra epoxy. That one was about 15 milliliters, and I did that on the entire surface of the cup. So once that was cured, everything we've got here is under epoxy, and now we're going to just finish this up with a little bit more detail. This cup is for Manny, and she wanted to make this like a very little kid, bright, fun cup because they were little kids in this photo. So we picked out this super cute little kid font. It looks like a little kid's handwriting, and we just made a decal that says Dear Santa, because this is their little Christmas list in front of the tree. And I thought that was so cute. And now we're going to place it on the cup. I just placed it directly on the back opposite our image. So there's our image, and then the decal is right there on the back. So then Manny said, I think I want a little bit more sparkle. Let's add some glitter to the white space of this cup. So when Manny asks, she receives. So I added a very, very thin layer of the Crystalac glitter glue to the entire surface of the cup. And now we're using Blitzen from PDB. And now I'm taking, you can see how small of an amount of glitter I'm using. I'm holding my shaker up really, really high, and I'm very lightly just tapping on the shaker to get a tiny little bit of glitter all over this whole cup. So this is kind of meant to be like the Christmas lights sparkling. Blitzen has a whole bunch of different colors and it's got some little star shapes in there. It is the perfect Christmas glitter. So I'm going to let that dry about 2 hours, and then I'm going to go in with my final coats of epoxy. I did 2 final coats of about 15 to 20 milliliters each. They don't need to be thick. You just want to make sure it's smooth over that glitter we added. So once the final layer was cured, we're all done. I love how this cup turned out, and Manny loves it as well, which is what matters because this is her cup. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it gives you a little bit of an idea or inspiration for how to add photos to your tumblers in a kind of different way. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and make sure you are subscribed to our channel so you don't miss any new videos. We upload every single Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next one. Okay, love you. Bye. To my YouTube channel. This is Mal. Thank you so much for watching. I hope much you like it. Okay, that's good enough for that.